So that was all the fuss was about, eh? Just seeing Black Panther for the first time on 4K. What a way to see it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good film. But as usual with the MCU, there's a massive villain problem in this film. Yeah, I might as well start with the villain. I might as well start with the negative because that is my negative. Ulysses Claw was absolutely freaking fantastic. He had stature, he had threat, he was really funny. I mean, we've met Ulysses Claw, of course, before, but I just don't understand. They killed him halfway through the movie. He's one of the best things about this film. So we're left with Killmonger. I love the commentary on a young man being deserted as a child and then growing up to being this villain who just wants to, create this mass destruction. That's a great commentary. But the character himself, played wonderfully by Michael B. Jordan. I love Michael, he's a great actor. But the character doesn't have much about him. So by the time, T'Challa kills him, after offering to heal him, I just don't feel it. I don't feel it. A death over bondage. I like that line. I thought that was really good. But as a villain, yeah, Killmonger really didn't work for me. I know he worked for a lot of people, and that's great, but not for me. Definitely Shuri. Shuri is my favourite character. Letitia Wright did such a great job. Shuri is wonderful. She's lovable. She's intelligent. She's likeable. This is how you should write women. Rather than trying to make them bitches and saying that makes them strong. This is a strong young lady. She's intelligent. She don't take any shit, and she's lovable. I even felt she was my little sister in the film. She was lovely. So I really enjoyed Shuri, and she's playing this kind of, not only playing T'Challa's sister, but she's playing this kind of Q character. Q out of Bond with all the gadgets. I love all that. She's really passionate about it. So she's just a wonderful character. Denari Garari, is that how you say her name? She played like the kind of, she was like in charge of the army and everything. I forgot what they called her, but she was fantastic. And then you had kind of, what's her name? I can't remember her name, but she was kind of T'Challa's ex-girlfriend, but she obviously was a spy. She wasn't really with them at the start of the film. She was a wonderful character as well. She's not just a love interest. There's so much more to the character. She's the one, when Killmonger takes over, says, we have to do something. And Denai Garari's character is saying, no, we just got to do as we're told. He's the king now. And I think this is the greatest thing about this film really is the commentary about it, about borders and keeping yourself to yourselves. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I think it's a bad thing. And I think that's shown by the end of the film. But she's basically, Denai Garari's character is saying, let's just do as we're told. It's like everyone in London protesting Trump, and you get these people saying, well, wait a minute, you didn't protest this one, that one. Why should you protest Trump? Because people feel like protesting him. That is our right. We can protest. But if you just sit there and let it happen, like, in historical terms with Hitler and things like that, then we're all in trouble. And the strong should always stand up and fight for the weak. And so that was a great commentary, really. And I really enjoyed that. It's a beautifully directed film. Some wonderful performances. The choreography was absolutely fantastic. The long and short of it is, if you haven't seen Black Panther before, it's very different. It's in a different world to the normal MCU movies, And I like that. It's very different. But ultimately, in terms of the tone, there is humour in it, there's action in it, but I don't think it offers much more than the other films do, apart from the great commentary, which I thought was great. Look, I enjoyed the film. I just felt, by the end of it, I wanted a bit more. And this is the problem with the MCU, but maybe it's not a problem. Maybe that's what Kevin Feige does. He wants us wanting more. And that's great. That is great. But I still always feel with these films, it's not just the MCU, it's just what we get these days as well. You just think, really, is that it? And I still don't feel, and I don't know how I'm going to feel after Avengers, the latest Avengers film, because I haven't seen that yet. I've ordered it on 4K, and I'm looking forward to seeing that because everyone says it's a dark, epic movie. But ultimately, what I felt with this one and with all the MCU films is like, I I needed more. This feels empty. So you watch it once. I mean, obviously, a lot of people went back to rewatch this film in the pictures, in the cinema, in the theatre, as you Americans call it. But for me, I mean, I didn't see it in the cinema, but if I did, I wouldn't want to go back for more. It was great to see Bucky, very short and sweet. So they're calling him the White Wolf, which we all know about because all of you have watched it apart from me. How would I rate this film? I definitely would give it... Look, this film deserves 8 out of 10 for sure for me. It's not a 10 out of 10 for me. This film's made lots of money. It's one of the most successful comic book adapted films ever. But when I'm watching it, I'm just feeling, yeah, I really like this. I love the opening sequence when T'Challa's father is telling him about where they come from and how they get their abilities. And actually, it's very similar to what we got when Jor-El was explaining to Superman about Krypton, and they did the same thing with Wonder Woman as well, which was really great. A lot of people said, "Oh, they stole that idea." Listen, everyone borrows from other films, other books, and other pieces of fiction. I do it. All creative people do it. There's nothing wrong with it. What I would like with the people who, the creative people from the MCU is to stop slagging off the DCEU and telling us how to fix it when they've actually taken an awesome idea and used it, and it worked really well. And Ryan Coogler did a great job with it. But so stop putting us down, because the DCEU has got some great things in it. It may not be perfect, but nor was the MCU, at the same stage. So, get over yourselves. But yeah, I love the opening sequence. I think one of the things I loved about this film is the characters. Angela Bassett as T'Challa's mum was really good, but Angela Bassett could just stand there doing nothing, and she would be classy. She's a great actress. They had a great cast here. It was a well-made film, and I sat back and I enjoyed it, and I was engulfed and I was engaged in it. So I definitely loved this film. Is this one of the best MCU films? I don't think it is. I don't think it's anywhere near Winter Soldier, which is my favourite. Don't forget, I have not seen Avengers 3 yet. So, obviously everyone's saying that's the best comic book movie ever made. We shall see. Big confession, if you haven't seen my videos before, I'm a massive DC fan, DCEU fanboy. Yeah, that's my crime. I'll have to live with it. But I do like the MCU. I have got all the films. But I just feel, although this is a good film, and I mean, this film was successful for many reasons. Because it's a good film, it's part of the MCU. This is one of the rare films with a predominantly black cast, which was great, and a couple of white actors who did great as well. So it was actually, as I say, a really great cast. So it broke a lot of boundaries, this film, and this is why it got a lot of press. But, that you don't get a great film just from that. It has to be good. It was good. It did its job. It introduced Black Panther. We saw him. We've seen him before. But Captain America Civil War, he was fantastic. I thought it was a great introduction to him. I loved T'Challa. I thought I thought the actor was brilliant. I thought the character was brilliant. But as I say, I just felt like there could have been more. For me, they didn't flesh the characters out enough, for sure. It's by the end of it, you're just thinking, I wanted to know more about this one and that one. And that's the problem. But again, with movies these days, you get a lot of these problems. Nothing's really fleshed out enough. Everything's at speed because the audience, this generation, doesn't have the concentration to go over 2.5 hours. I mean, there's complaints sometimes if a film's too long. We heard it with The Last Jedi. I didn't think The Last Jedi's length was actually its problems. It was the content within the film that I had problems with. But this film, definitely, I enjoyed it. I would recommend it. I would say yes. It is one of the great comic book movies. I even cried a few times. It was great in one of those post-credit scenes when he's addressing, is he addressing the UN? That was a great speech. That made me feel really emotional. And I think commentary is great in fiction when it's done properly and it's not there to trigger people. And I mean, I suppose if you're opposed to coming together, and what was it that T'Challa said? We should be like one tribe. What a beautiful thought. Some people don't agree with that. I do. That's my personal opinion. And when people talk about this kind of thing, they're called communists and communism didn't work, blah, blah, blah. It's not the same thing. Things can work if you want them to, if you come from a positive place in your heart. But I certainly really enjoyed this film and I would recommend it.